Hello, this is the KenyanSiasa, and I'm your host, Jabali Odawanadawa. Dear folks of the KenyanSiasa, last Sunday, the immediate former Deputy President, Rigathi Gachagua, had an exclusive interview with the NTV. In this interview, the immediate former DP, among many other issues, disclosed various pertinent issues that led to him parting ways with the President William Ruto. And most importantly, Rigathi Gachagua disclosed or hinted at an imminent possibility of him and other like-minded leaders coming up with a political arrangement, coming up with a pact that will front a presidential candidate who will compete with President William Ruto in the 2027 general elections. Dear folks of the KenyanSiasa, in this episode, we are scanning at some of the factors that Rigathi, together with his team, should focus on for them to have fruition in their pursuit of denying President William Ruto a second chance of the presidency in the 2027 general elections. Number one, Rigathi Gachagua and his team should focus, should shrewdly, keenly settle on a presidential candidate who will give them an easy time in denying President William Ruto a second chance of presidency or retaining his seat in the 2027 general elections. Here we have KALONZO Musyoka. We also have MATIANG'I, based on the signals that we've been getting in the political spheres. Between KALONZO Musyoka and Fred MATIANG'I, we can say that KALONZO Musyoka presents a much formidable, presents a much viable presidential candidate for this coalition that is just about to be formed. One, KALONZO Musyoka is the undisputed kingpin of his community, the Kamba Nation. The Kamba Nation have a considerable basket of votes. And with KALONZO having total monopoly of this community with regards to politics, it is guaranteed that he is coming with something formidable on the table. And now, if you combine the votes of the Kamba Nation that KALONZO, the Kamba Nation, who are the fifth in population in Kenya, if you combine the votes that KALONZO is coming with from his Kamba Nation with the votes of the Gema Nation. The Gema Nation, remember, have the highest number of votes countrywide. This will give them a good kickstart in their pursuit to clinch the presidency. Another factor with KALONZO Musyoka is that KALONZO Musyoka is diplomatic in nature. KALONZO Musyoka is a cool person. KALONZO Musyoka is likable. KALONZO Musyoka doesn't carry that tribal or regional tag with him. In other words, we can say that KALONZO Musyoka is universal. Therefore, the benefit of this aspect of KALONZO is that even in other parts of Kenya that are not directly linked to the eastern or to the central Kenya, KALONZO can still garner a considerable number of votes in those areas, taking into consideration that he is likable and he is likable and is universal, for lack of better words, the folks of the KenyanSiasa. Still, another factor with the KALONZO Musyoka is that Kalonzo Musyoka has helped Raila for a long time. You can remember very well in the 2013 elections in CORD coalition, Kalonzo Musyoka gave Raila a big support. In the 2017, during the NASA coalition, Kalonzo Musyoka still supported Raila Odinga. In the 2022, in the Azimio coalition, Kalonzo coherently, solidly supported Raila Amolo Odinga. And in an event that Raila Amolo Odinga doesn't run for the presidency in the 2027 general elections and continues to work with Ruto, some of Raila Amolo Odinga's supporters who are not contented with Raila working with Ruto, who feel betrayed by Raila in his working with Ruto, might still vote for Kalonzo. Therefore, we can say that number one factor that Rigathi Gachagua and his like-minded leaders in the pact that is just about to be unveiled should focus on is the choice of the presidential candidate. Another factor that Rigathi Gachagua and his like-minded leaders should focus on is to coin a winning arithmetic. In other words, to come up with a winning strategy. And here we are now focusing on the deputy president, the one that is going to deputize Kalonzo Musyoka. Here we can settle for someone like Natembeya, George Natembeya, the current governor of Trans Nzoia County. Natembeya recently has emerged as a political mobilizer. Natembeya recently has become conspicuous, vigorous with regards to agitation, with regards to try and mobilize the Mulembe nation to have unity as a voting bloc. Natembeya is also young and vibrant. This might make him to be more appealing to the young generation, especially the Gen Z. And another thing with the Natembeya factor is that Natembeya will now bring that regional balancing, or will now satisfy the question of regional balancing. With Kalonzo Musyoka coming from the eastern, related with the Gema Central part of Kenya, Natembeya will now make the people coming from the western Kenya, here we are talking about the Luyas, Luos, Kisis, Kurias, to feel part of this arrangement, to feel part of this coalition. And this will enable this coalition to get more votes for Kalonzo Musyoka. Another factor that Rigathi Gachagua and his group of like-minded politicians should focus on is the question of cash, money. The 2027 general elections is likely to be a very, very expensive with regards to the presidential campaign aspect. You know very well that President William Ruto doesn't joke around when it comes to dishing out money. You can remember very well in the 2027 general elections, President William Ruto, then Deputy President, used to do harambes right, left, and center. President William Ruto sustained a momentum of dishing out cash as from 2018, just after the Uhuru Raila handshake, up to 2022 general elections. He maintained a momentum of dishing out cash for 4 good years. And by then, he was just a DP. Now, what about this time round when he is a president, sitting president with full government machinery, with access to various avenues of cash, it is obvious that President William Ruto is going to enter into a spree of incomparable cash dishing. Therefore, any person who is serious about challenging President William Ruto in the 2027 general elections should be well endowed with regards to cash, or should be very, very well nourished in monetary wise. Another factor that Rigathi Gachagua and his team must focus on, or should consider very keenly, is voter vigilance system. You know very well where our country has come from. We have had several cases of rigging. Several cases where people are crying of foul play. Right now, we don't have a working IEBC since Wafula Chebukati and his team went home. And there is no any justifiable reason as to why President William Ruto hasn't made efforts to constitute a new IEBC. It is just a matter of buying time for some unknown special reasons that might be favoring him. You know very well that since 2022 general elections, several MCAs have died in various circumstances, meaning that these wards do not have MCAs. There is also a certain MP from Northeastern that died, and it's approximately 2 years down the line since this MP died, and this constituency up to now doesn't have representation in the parliament, courtesy of the fact that we don't have a working IEBC. Therefore, taking into consideration where we have come from as a country, one should just be suspicious. One should not just be comfortable that these 2027 general elections will be a credible, free and fair one. Now, due to that fact, this team of Rigathi Gachagua should make sure that they coin a proper voter vigilance system that will ensure that their candidates' votes are safeguarded, that they are not rigged. And the last factor that Rigathi Gachagua and his team should focus on, or should try, though this one might be tricky, is to seduce Raila Amolo Odinga to fortress or to buttress their candidate, or to Raila Amolo Odinga to their side. You know very well, like him, hate him, Raila Amolo Odinga commands a support base that is near half of the total votes in this country, single-handedly. Now here we are talking at a level where somebody hasn't reached out to other political formation or other regional blocks working arrangement. At a personal level, Raila single-handedly commands a considerable support base that no any other politician in Kenya has. Therefore, in an event that Raila Amolo Odinga supports William Ruto in the 2027 general elections, in case Raila doesn't run for the presidency, it will be impossible for Rigathi's group to clinch the presidency. But in an event that they manage to woo Raila to their side, so that, say, Raila supports Kalonzo Musyoka, this will be a sure bet. It will be a guarantee that Kalonzo Musyoka will win early by 8 a.m. in the morning. Dear folks of the Kenyan Siasa, we come to the halt of this episode. For those of you who are subscribed to our YouTube channel, we're humbled, we're glad, thank you. And for those of you who are not subscribed to our YouTube channel, we beseech you to show us some love by subscribing, then hit on the notification bell to get notified whenever we upload content. Until next time, I'm Jabali, Odawa, and Adawa. Bye-bye.